Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest tonight on the Weekly Grab. Tonight we have Dorchester County Councilwoman Harriet Hollingman with Joel and I on the podcast. Harriet, welcome to the Weekly Grab podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're so thankful to have you. I know it's been a busy past couple of weeks. You've been doing interviews. I've been seeing you on national TV. I've been hearing you on the radio. You've been everywhere. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. What have the past couple of weeks been like for you in response to your big announcement?
Well, I've had positive response. I had some people that were in disbelief, but overall, it's been a really good response to me. Switching parties.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And you
I've
were
had,
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I think we have a slight delay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. You can finish your thought there. I didn't mean to.
I was just saying that I have some friends that are Democrats. They didn't abandon me because I became a Republican. I'm still the same person, and they believe in the things that I want to do, and they know that I'm for all people. I am for everyone. It doesn't matter what party you're in. If you're a constituent, I am going to do the best that I can to service your needs.
Well, that's good to hear. And it's honestly refreshing to hear that, because I feel like the partisanship, the left versus right, has gotten so heated and it's gotten so nasty over the past few years that it's just kind of refreshing to hear, like, hey, I'm here for you, whether you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, I'm here to serve all my constituents. So that's definitely admirable, Harriet. Let me ask you this. So what was it that inspired? So for people who don't know, Harriet Hollingman is a Dorchester County Councilwoman. I believe she was elected in 2018, and she was a 28-year Army veteran. Do I have that right? And so, she's done a great job. Okay, great. She's done a great job on Dorchester County Council. And a few weeks ago, she announced with the SCGOP chairman, Drew McKissick, and the DCRP chairman, Stephen Wright, that she was going to change parties this year and become a Republican. Harriet, what was it that inspired you to do that?
Well, I started really researching both parties. And as I said earlier, a lot of times you're just born into the party that you are. And then as you start, really working into politics, you start looking at each one of their agendas. And then it really came to me that the Republican agenda just fit my life better. I'm very conservative. And so I wanted to go down that path and continue the rest of my life being a conservative Republican.
God bless you. God bless you. One of the things I heard you talked about, and I'm going to pull it up here just so people can see it, because we have a true celebrity with us tonight. Fox News said in their headline, South Carolina Democrat switches to Republican Party on pro-life and pro-funding the police. What was it about the pro-life issue and about funding the police issue that stood out to you? What was it about those two things?
Well, I am pro-life, and I kind of thought about, what if my mother decided to not have the 3 children that she had? What if my grandmother decided not to have my father? My grandmother had 15 children. What if she had decided one of those kids she was not going to have? And then that could have been my father, and that would mean that I would not be here today. So I am very grateful that she had all of her children. In today's society, we don't have 15 children, so it's a totally different society today. So most people have 1 to 3 children. It's even easier than it was way back in the 1920s, early 1900s. So I kind of thought about that, and I'm very glad that my grandmother endured that and had all her children. And I just really thought about, if she hadn't had one of them, which one would I say not to have? So I'm very much pro-life when I start thinking about it. I mean, it's a hard decision for some people, but it's an easy decision for me. So pro-life is what I am. And I also talked to some of my friends, because I know some people that have had abortions. And I tell them, I say, you know what, that was you then. But right now, you can tell the story and you can prevent someone else from going down that road. So I've talked to people, and they are thinking about coming over to the Republican Party. They agreeing with the agenda. And so we're going to have more people coming over to the Republican Party as long as I am in the party.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You're probably going to inspire more people to take that leap. I didn't even think that was, but that makes total sense, because there's a lot of pro-life Democrats who feel the party's left them behind. And it used to be safe, legal, and rare was how abortions will only be, in the rarest situations, you know, we want to do it safely. We don't want to have back alley abortions. That was like the original pitch of it. But now they've become very proud of it. And I can understand, like, from the other side being stuck. I was very young when my fiance and I had our first child, and we just had parental instinct, like, no, this is my child. I saw him in the ultrasound. That's a heartbeat right there. That's a life.
Yep.
And we're going to protect and fight for that life. So kudos to you. It really does take a lot of courage to speak out on that issue, Harriet. And I know that sometimes there's a lot of backlash. So we're appreciative of you doing that. Let me ask you this. So a lot of people have said, why is she doing this now? So this year you have an upcoming reelection. I'm not hiding the fact that I'm supporting you in your reelection this year. What was it about this year and right now in 2022 that made you want to switch now? What was it that about this month, this year, that made you want to do it now?
Well, I'm going to say that some of my when I was a county councilman, Todd Friddle, that was on the council with me. And kind of after every council meeting, he would walk over and say, Harriet, you are so conservative. You are just more Republican than I am. And so that kind of made me start thinking about it even more so. And then if not now, then when? Okay, so I sat down 6 months ago and started talking with Stevens about it. And we decided to do it in the month of February. It was not because of the election. This was just the best time that we thought could be done. This is a very important month. And so it's a Black History Month. It was a President's Day. And so that's the day I chose to do it on.
That's beautiful.
And I'm very proud that I did it on that day, and I did it in this month. So it was not related to the election at all.
Okay. Yeah. Harriet, coming from someone who's been, conservative leaning my whole life, you are more conservative than Todd Friddle, and I love Todd, but if he's watching, Harriet is more conservative than you. Okay, well, final question. This weekend, the Dorchester GOP is holding a huge party. There's going to be food, cornhole, music. Some of the big party leaders are coming down. How can you just talk about how the local party has welcomed you over to their side, and just tell me what that's been like? Because
they have been so positive and welcoming into the party. I mean, it's like the red carpet. I felt like and this is really telling the truth. And I know people may say, oh, what's wrong with her? But I'm going to tell you, it was like coming home. It was like being gone for a long time and coming home, and they really embraced me. They made me feel so good about my decision. And this is why I am asking others to come in, look at the agenda, talk with the Republican Party. It is not what people think. It is a really good place to be. And I feel very comfortable being here. I'm happy that I made this decision, and I hope others will make the same decision as well.
That is so amazing. That's beautiful, Harriet. Well, we wanted to chat for 10 minutes. We're at the 10 minutes. Is there anything else you'd like to include? I know it's a big year. This is a big election coming up. Is there anything else you want to say to folks out in Dorchester County coming up this year?
I would say that I would like for people to look at the individual when you're making your decision on who is going to service you for the next 4 years. It's a huge decision. Don't just go don't just vote for your friends telling you who to vote for. Look at the individual, see what they have done, and then vote your conscience when you go into the booth. And number one, register to vote. Be a voter. Allow someone to be your voice that you trust, and that's going to look out for the people.
Beautiful.
And that's
beautiful. I love that. Don't just vote because they're a Democrat or Republican. Look at the individual. Look at what they stand for, their values, what they've done. Yes. I love that message, Harriet. thank you so much for joining us. Please come back again. We love to chat with you. I'm sure we'll see you this Saturday at the Dorchester party.
Yes, you will. Thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. You have a great
Thanks
rest of
for
your evening.
coming.
Awesome. Man, let us know in the comments how you guys felt about that and what you thought about what Harriet had to say. Joel, I mean, what are your initial thoughts on speaking with Harriet just now?
I mean, you took over for me, I guess, but took the last one away from me, but it's all good. No, it was a great conversation. It's excited to get the insight on what inspired the switch and how it's been going for her.
Yeah, it's not easy to do what she did.
No.
She stood up in the face of the
The wave
Democrat
of
Party
cancel
machine.
culture, yeah.
There you go. There you have it. And so it's definitely, it takes a lot of courage to do what she did, and we appreciate her coming on. If you don't know who Harriet is, we're going to be covering her more going into the future. She's got a tough election coming up. It looks like someone's going to be challenging her in the Republican primary, and then it looks like there might be a potential challenger, a Democrat, later on in November. So what I would recommend is if you're interested in learning more about Harriet or supporting her, go to her Facebook page and give her a donation. Send her $10, send her $25, $50 if you have it, $1,000 if you have it. But anything helps those kind of campaigns, especially on a local level. So yeah, definitely take a look at her Facebook page. It's Harriet Hollingman. And I believe her Facebook page is Harriet Hollingman for Dorchester County Council. Any amount helps, whether it's 5, 10, 25. Definitely chip in. That we need more leaders like that who care more about their values rather than just the letter next to their name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
Yeah, man, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. We want to take us into the news of the day, Joel.
All right. Let's get into the first story here. As you know, everyone knows the biggest story around right now is what's happening in Ukraine and Russia's current continuous aggression against Ukraine. And an article today that came from, I have it loading, Mirror dot something. Yeah, Mirror. But Vladimir Putin says violence will get worse and plans to take over all of Ukraine. CJ, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, some of the images, here's one of the images today, civilian apartments being bombed. I mean, look at this. This is awful what's going on over there. And, there's some people even here in the US that are defending Russia. That's so weird to me. There's civilians that are being bombed. There's a lot of propaganda that happens in wartime. And, this time isn't any different. So, our hearts and our thoughts and prayers are going out to the folks out in Ukraine. And, there was some funny, interesting, we should bring up, while we're looking at this tragic images, there was some stories coming out of Ukraine that were kind of false that you and I were talking about over this week.
Yeah,
about that?
There was the one on Snake Island, which apparently, I don't know, they said they didn't die, they're all still alive. And then they said the footage that came out of the Ghost of Kiev was from some sort of game simulator or something. And I was like,
some of those stories were fake. Yeah. So the Snake
fake
Island
news.
That was weird. And so, it's interesting. You see the propaganda in wartime. But I still maintain that, the blood of our American troops shouldn't be spilled in Ukraine. Hopefully Russia doesn't advance against our American allies over there.
Hopefully
NATO.
Not,
But yeah, so it's kind of, Putin's doubling down. He's saying the violence is only going to get worse. He wants to take over all of Ukraine. But then today, Joel, tell us about this story.
So this one comes from the Daily Mail, but a top advisor of the Kremlin has broken his ranks to call for says he wants to call for a ceasefire in Ukraine, blasted the invasion as an embarrassment for Russia, says, not happy with it, apparently.
Yeah, so
not everyone is being very loyal to Putin in Russia, which I guess good. He says it's confusing. They don't know why he's doing it.
Well, you see all these anti-war protests popping up in Russia, and of course, they don't have a First Amendment. They don't have a constitution like we do, where we have freedoms enshrined in our founding documents. They don't. So these folks that are protesting against the war, a lot of them are being thrown in jail or beaten by the police. It's a different world over there. But now we're seeing military leaders stand up And one of the top advisors to the Kremlin is saying he can't comprehend Putin's invasion. I mean, that is crazy.
Yeah,
But what's even
I have an actual quote here I found. It says, from the guy himself that was speaking out, it said, many of us are depressed in an extraordinary intervention after Putin made his country a pariah on the international stage.
Have you been seeing? So there's been some images, and we have some video that we're going to play here in a minute. There's been some video of soldiers, Russian soldiers, that have been taken captive by Ukrainians, who are kind of saying, "Hey, this is not what we were sold. We thought we were going to come here as liberators, and that Ukrainians were going to welcome us, but it turned out to be killing civilians."
Yeah,
and that's not what they signed up for.
Ironically, on TikTok, I've seen a lot of clips too. There was one where the soldier apparently was told that one of the Russian soldiers was told it was just a training exercise. He wasn't even told he was going over into battle. So
wow,
yeah,
oh my gosh, that's nuts. Well, let's switch gears. Let's get off the depressing stuff and get to some fun stuff. So each week we're going to do a segment, and I know this is going to make some people upset, but it's so fun. So there's a huge election going on in the Low Country between Nancy Mace and Katie Arrington. And so Katie Arrington, former state rep, Nancy Mace currently holds the seat now. And so we want to have this segment every week called Low Country Cage Match and update you on the latest happening between Katie Arrington and Nancy Mace. So we'll be quick about it. But I mean, this is very interesting. This is one of the top watched races in the country right here in our backyard. Donald Trump announced, since we did our last show, he's going to come to Florence, and I believe it's not this weekend, but next weekend, March 12th.
Yep.
And so, I've been open. I've not ever really been a huge Trump supporter, but it's going to be interesting to follow how Trump plays a role in this election, because a lot of the Republican Party does, ride with whatever Trump wants, and there are people like me who are more conservative who, would prefer someone else besides Trump. But yeah, so this week, one of the things, in the same vein of as the Ukrainian topic, Katie Arrington tweeted this week, once the Ukrainian thing was kind of happening, and I'll come over here so I can help chat about it. But this I thought was a pretty interesting and slightly erratic tweet, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know, and we're going to show some of the comments here on the screen in a second. She said, "The blame for what we're seeing in Ukraine lies at the feet of Joe Biden and weak-boned Republicans like Nancy Mace, who voted to certify the election results." So and this is not, I should not be laughing, but this is basically Katie Arrington saying that what's happening in Ukraine is Nancy Mace's fault. I mean, is that a stretch? I mean, that's a stretch to me.
That's a stretch. We can't blame that on Nancy.
We can't blame it on Nancy Mace.
No, that's a stretch. A little stretch.
Let's see. Joey says policy over party. That must have been during Harriet's interview. I agree, Joey, and I think Harriet agrees. Policy over party. That's a great comment. That's a great comment. Yeah, so just kind of getting back to our Low Country Cage Match segment here. Katie's tweet, I thought it was weird, because the whole world is reacting in real time to like seeing civilians being bombed, and everyone's writing these heartfelt messages of like, we support our Ukrainian friends.
Yeah.
And then you get Katie Arrington taking a cheap shot at Nancy Mace. And I'm still undecided. I don't know who I support. I think are you still in the same boat?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still in. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know either. So it's going to be fun to watch. But Katie Arrington, she does want to speak with your manager. So just in case, she does want to speak with your manager.
She does.
But we're going to watch it. We're going to be honest about it. We're going to show both sides.
I need your membership, please. Do you have a membership? Can't go past without a membership, sir.
It never ceases to amaze me. But anyways, let's keep it moving, man. What do we got next on the docket, Joel?
I thought you had it pulled up.
I do. I do. No, you're fine.
What's one you want to talk about next?
No, you can do the next one. I know that you had wanted to talk about the latest news on the Pfizer vaccine.
Yes. So there was a report that came out, and the article was on timcast.net or timcast.com in the news. But a study that was done showed that the Pfizer vaccine was only 12% effective for kids during the Omicron wave, which is, crazy. So let me read the part. It says, according to the study, vaccine effectiveness against the infection for children from ages 12 to 17 declined from 66% to 51% on January. And then from 5 to 11, the vaccine effectiveness declined from 68% to 12% during that same period. And I think they did it between December 13th, 2021 to January 30th, 2022. So definitely not a good PR. So PR crisis for Pfizer.
This is crazy, Joel. It says later, this is Pfizer releasing this. This isn't just like some crackpot study. They said that they're going to be postponing their application to the FDA for their COVID-19 vaccine to be approved for children ages 6 months to 4 months. So they're pushing back their vaccine for younger folks. I wonder if that's as a result of this. Can we go ahead and roll that clip of DeSantis this week? Did anybody see this?
Roll DeSantis.
You do not have to wear those masks. I mean, please take them off. Honestly, it's not doing anything, and we got to stop with this COVID theater. So if you want to wear it, fine, but this is ridiculous.
All right. Well, it's good to be at USF.
Did you see the kid behind him? He's like, okay. I've always maintained that if you'd like to wear a mask, I respect your choice, and I'm never going to shame you or harass you for wearing one. But from the beginning, it showed the data was clear that these masks weren't stopping the spread, and the masks that do, like the N95 masks, were not the masks that people were using, and they were using like the cloth ones. And so then this week, the CDC comes out and says, hey, indoor masking, we're not going to recommend that, which I thought was interesting. Did you think that was interesting? The CDC came out with that new mask guidance the same week that pretty much World War III starting. I mean,
they waited till there was not enough traction. They were like, we can sneak this out and it won't be a big deal. We can sneak
this out, right?
They sneak it out in the middle of the World War.
Yeah, I thought that was nuts, man. I thought that was absolutely nuts. So I mean, back to the story that you had brought up. The vaccine effectiveness for children, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Vaccines definitely reduce hospitalization. We know that. That's why a lot of people got it. But the jury's still out on a lot of these vaccines for young children. And it's going to be a big debate because, there are places where you can't go if you don't have a vaccine. And our country does have a dark history of forcing vaccinations on people. Like if you think of the Tuskegee experiments,
Yeah.
And the dark history that our government has of forcing vaccines on people. So anyways, very interesting. Very interesting. Can you update us about what's the latest going on with our friend Antonio Brown? What's Antonio Brown up to?
Antonio Brown looks like he might be taking a continuous time out from football, but he's on a roster for an upcoming Rolling Rock Music Festival. I think it's in Miami. So that's kind of interesting. He's taking his music career to the next level, I guess. He took off the jersey and now he's putting on the microphone, I guess.
So honestly, I've always been a big fan of Antonio Brown. He's one of my favorite. Yeah, he's always one of my favorite football players to watch. He's fantastic on the field, and I was really bummed when he took his jersey off in the middle of the season. And we don't know the whole story that happened there, but he took his jersey off in the middle of the game and then ran off the field. And I guess he's trying to launch that into a music career. I saw him with Kanye at a couple events. But rock music, I thought he was making hip hop music, Joel.
Maybe he's making a double change, a double cross lane. He's trying to keep us on our feet, I guess. Yeah, I'm ready to see what happens.
I'll check it out. I'll listen to it. Should be interesting. What do we got next up? So next up, there's some interesting stuff going on. I mean, it's been a huge week. The next one is the latest news from Target. So Target came out and said they're going to boost their starting wages for employees as high as $24 an hour in some markets. That's nuts.
I gotta go send my application. Goodness.
Right.
I have no other option.
Well, I think part of it is that they are having a lot of these retail giants are having a hard time finding people to work. Yeah. I mean, Dorchester County has this new Walmart distribution center that's coming to town, and they're just begging people to come to work because they just can't find enough labor. And so what this is businesses competing for that labor. And when businesses are competing for labor, when there's a shortage of labor, which what we have now, then you see wages start to go up. And so this is very interesting. I think inflation definitely has a big part of it. Every dollar's worth less now.
Target's about to be mad expensive.
Yeah, don't you think the prices will probably go up as a result too?
If you thought Publix was expensive, Target about to be expensive. Woo! About to be pricey.
I mean, the prices are going to be pretty high. So I think that's pretty much it. But we definitely want to leave off with our main sponsor. If you guys want to support the show, we'd love bringing some awesome, interesting news stories to you guys. We're going to talk about the local stuff. We're going to talk about what's going on nationally. But if you like to support the show, one way you can is with Nug of Knowledge. So Nug of Knowledge is premium cannabis, and it's legal. You can find the best 100% natural CBD, CBG, and Delta 8 THC at nugofknowledge.com. They've got flower, vapes, and edibles with even more strains and flavors on the way. This is a great way to get your cannabis 100% legally and show support and the show and the Liberty Movement love all at the same time. So you can go to nugofknowledge.com, use promo code Somerville. That's our promo code, and you'll get 10% off today's purchase. So go expand your mind, live your best life. If you have trouble going to sleep, if you have pain, this is 100% legal. This isn't getting stoned. This is very good all natural products at nugofknowledge.com, promo code Somerville. They're fantastic. They support veterans, which is the first thing that I loved about them. They're a right-wing agency or excuse me, right-wing company, but they support veterans. So they have a compassionate use program. If you're someone who can't afford their products, they're going to help you with it. They're going to give you discounts. But everyone else, if you're not a veteran, use our discount code Somerville for 10% off at nugofknowledge.com.
Nug of Knowledge.
Also, we have some more housekeeping, Joel. If you like to leave us a message, so one new feature we brought back on our new podcast. This is our old logo. We've got the new logo now that looks fantastic. But if you'd like to leave us a message, we'll play your message on our next podcast. One thing that we can do, which is really cool, is we like showing the comments that you guys are leaving in real time. But we have a lot of listeners on Spotify too who are only listeners. So if you'd like to leave us a message, say something funny, say something, you hate us, you love us, we'll play it. I don't care if it's super mean, we'll play it. So
we'll play it. We will play it. Talk that ish to us.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. We'll play it. Leave us a message. This is at anchor.fm/the Weekly Grab podcast. And last but not least, go ahead.
I was going to say, you can also listen Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're not on Newsmax yet, but we are on Spotify. So it's probably only a matter of time before we get the deal. We'll see.
Yeah, and then last but not least, Joel, I think we can end off here. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out every week at somervillenews.net. So somervillenews.net, we were the first to break Harriet's story, the first in the whole country to break that story. We were the first to break a lot of these local stories because we know a lot of these local guys. So if you want to be the first to hear the most exciting news in the low country, go down to somervillenews.net, sign up for our email newsletter. We send one email a week. We will not blow up your email inbox, and you'll love what we have to offer there. It's completely free to you. And I think we're a little bit better than the Post and Courier. What do you think, Joel?
I mean, it's like Jake Paul versus whatever person he picks. Where we win essentially.
We win
all the time.
But anyways, we're very thankful for everyone who joined us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday live at 7:00 for the Weekly Grab podcast. Me and Joel.
7:00.
We're so glad you joined. Let us know what you thought about the show. Did you love it? Did you hate it? How would you rate it? We'll be back. Anything else you want to include, Joel, before we sign off?
Rate CJ's mustache on a scale of 1 to mustache-tastic.
Thank you, guys. Have a blessed and beautiful rest of your evening.